Hi, I'm Arden Kaywin, and this is the Pro Singer Success Collective. Today, we're going to be talking about the 3 biggest reasons that traditional vocal coaching sucks and what to do instead. Today's topic is a bit of a bombshell, I'm not going to lie, because what I'm about to say is kind of inflammatory, but I'm going with it anyway because it's been the truth of my experience, and as a teacher and a singer for over 25 years, this is what I have to say, that the way singers are currently trained in this country does not work. Just doesn't. And guys, I say this with great love and hope for change because I was a product of this system that really ultimately failed me. And I had to go outside of it to find success and understand just how broken it really is. And so with that, here are the top 3 biggest reasons that traditional vocal coaching sucks. So the first reason is this. The majority of highly respected voice teachers, vocal coaches, and singing programs, they primarily focus on one thing. You have any idea what it is? Right. They focus on technique. Technique, exercises, resonance, breath support. And don't get me wrong, you need good technique. It's super important. But guys, vocal technique is not optimized in a vacuum. Your body cannot do what your brain is sabotaging. It just can't. And look, your whole body is your instrument. If you watch my content, you hear me say that all the time. But the way singers are currently trained in this country by most voice teachers and in most institutions, this is what happens. So your teacher works on your resonance and your breath support, and you get in touch with your abdominals and your back body. And maybe you're lucky enough to have a teacher who really understands your pelvic floor and your intercostals, and you understand your inhale and your lungs, and they explain the direction of your support and the shape of your resonance. And if you're really lucky, you have a teacher who understands and explains apoggio to you and how to ground your sound in your body and lean into your support. So think about all those things I just said. Now, I want you to consider an image of the entire human body. So in this current way of teaching that I just mentioned, there is one giant critical part of your body, your instrument, that is left out. Any idea what it is? Type it in the chat. It's your mind. Guys, that is why the first reason that traditional vocal coaching sucks is because it doesn't train your whole instrument. It forgets to include your mind. Now, why is that important? Because when you don't address a singer's mind as part of her whole instrument, you leave out the one part of her body that can and will, if it's not trained, sabotage everything else. It's like, think about it this way. It's like if NASA erected a really kick-ass rocket with all kinds of like unbelievable, like highly effective technology and like, all kinds of like cool cutting edge tech, right? All of that, like that's like your technique, right? So it's like if NASA erected this rocket with all this kick-ass technology, but didn't put any rocket fuel in it. Is that rocket gonna fly? No. It's like standing there on the launch pad with all this great technology and zero fuel. Yet that is how traditional vocal coaching leaves you. And so most voice teachers, they neglect to show singers how to fuel the rocket. And you know why? Because these teachers, they don't know how to fuel the rocket themselves, since they were a product of the same broken system. So you have been an unintended casualty of a flawed system. You understand technique, but you do not have the fuel to fly. And so you're probably wondering, well, okay, Arden, what's the fuel? The fuel that catalyzes the technique is optimizing the mind and the body connection, which brings us to reason number 2, why traditional vocal coaching sucks. And it's this. traditional vocal coaching, that it does not teach you how to optimize your mind and body connection. And it's so important to do that. Because see, when you make the shift so that your mind and body are working together for you, instead of working against each other, sabotaging you, then all the technique that you have hooks in, and amazing singing and impactful performances become effortless. That rocket is going to fly. So how many of you watching this right now, like, do you relate to this? Like, how many of you feel like your mind sabotages your singing in some way? You know, do you relate? How many of you feel like you can make an amazing sound and totally nail that hard piece of repertoire exactly the way you want when you're by yourself in the shower, or when you're in your car, or when you're in your own practice and nobody's watching? But the moment it counts, the moment someone else is listening and there's actual stakes involved, you choke. Do you relate? Or maybe you don't completely choke, but you also know that it doesn't sound as good or feel as good as when you're on your own. How many of you feel like you know you have this amazing sound in there because you've heard it from time to time, but you just can't rely on when it's going to show up for you, or that you can deliver it when it counts and you really need to? Does that happen? Is that you? It's a really sucky place to be, guys. And it creates even more anxiety that compounds on itself and creates this negative feedback loop of fear. You guys heard me talk about that in some of my other content. The negative feedback loop of fear, that's what it creates. Because here's what happens. You can't rely on what's going to come out for you. So you hedge, or you push, or you manipulate, or force, or hold as a reaction to that which then creates the sound that you were fearing in the first place, which then reinforces the fear, that then creates an even stronger reaction to push, manipulate, force, control next time, which then creates more of the sound that you don't like, which creates more evidence that, you're not ready and you should be scared, which, and it's like around and around and around. That's the negative feedback loop. It's a really hard spiral to be in. And it makes the kind of calculated risks that are necessary for you to take in your career really, really hard. And traditional vocal coaching has little powerful tools to address it. But imagine knowing that every time you open your mouth, you're going to get your best sound. Like, that you don't have to think about it, that you can trust that. What would that be like for you? And then all that stress and effort and anxiety and fear, it's eliminated. This is not some fantasy. This is 100% available to you once you have engaged the mind and the body connection as the fuel that catalyzes all that technique you have. So the new way of working, it incorporates mindful integration to train the brain and harness the power of thought to optimize your whole instrument and expand your sound and your artistry. Because when you do that, guys, then you will sing in a way that delivers auditions and performances and recordings that get noticed every single time. Because you will finally have the tools to get out of your own way. And that's the reason, the third reason, why traditional vocal coaching sucks. Because it does not give you the tools to get out of your own way. And now, this reminds me of one of my students. Her name is Anne. And I want to tell you about her because she's a great example of the old way of training versus the new way of training. So Anne's an opera singer. And she was a product of that old flawed system. And by the way, it was causing her to quit. She was almost ready to throw in the towel before she came to work with me. And she had gone to an undergrad program. She'd majored in vocal performance. She'd continued to focus on her singing after graduating, but she wasn't getting anywhere. And when she came to us, her ability to deliver a professional sound was wildly inconsistent despite all her training. And it was causing her so much anxiety and so much fear when it came to auditioning and performing, not to mention all the self-doubt and all of the inferiority because she'd been doing this for so long and had not been able to fix this problem for herself. And it was causing her to start to doubt. She had this sinking feeling that all the energy that she'd spent on her singing, And the time and the money had just been a waste, because at that point she was 28 and she had nothing to show in the form of a successful singing career. And so all these emotions, they got compounded and they showed up in her body as a ton of tension in her neck and in her jaw, and this rigid holding in her support when she sang. And it just made everything worse. So we got under the hood and we took a look, and we came at this from an experiential problem-solving expertise. And as she began to understand how to work this mind-body connection, she learned how to practice radical self-care. She learned how to catalyze her technique, and she learned how to practice mindful integration in the moment of singing and performing. And then her sound began to change. And within a few months, this talented singer who was so suffering from being just terribly stuck in tension and inconsistency and anxiety and inferiority, she became able to access a free and beautiful and reliable sound in auditions, in performances. And so fast forward to now, and this fearful singer who had all this talent, but very little to show for it on her resume, is now fearlessly auditioning and consistently working and singing and doing operatic roles that she only dreamed of before. And she wrote me, and she said, and I'm gonna read you what she wrote. She said, "The last opera that I performed, the Pergolesi, and the one that I'm currently working on, which is Handel, I feel that my voice is finally able to do what it always wanted to do. And the arias that I'm working through would have been impossible a year ago. They now fit my voice like a glove." So why? Why is this true, guys? Because she trained her brain along with her voice. She optimized the mind-body connection. She learned how to get out of her own way so that her voice was finally free to do what it was always built to do and really shine. So this is why that I do the work that I do, guys, because left to the old way of training, this talented singer, she would have quit because it didn't even begin to address the problem. And this is why I say that traditional vocal coaching sucks. And the way that singers are trained in this country is broken and flawed. Because understanding technique means absolutely nothing if your brain is sabotaging your body from using it. And so we do a great disservice to singers by not showing them how to train their entire instrument, mind and body. And in doing so, then the world loses out on a ton of great talents, and individual singers lose out on the life and the gifts that they could have led. So don't let that be you. You have too much passion and talent and artistry to end up being a casualty of a broken system, the flawed system of training, and all the reasons it sucks, which I just went through. So the bottom line is this: if you're not getting results that you want in your singing, stop messing around with traditional vocal training that isn't working for you and book a call with us. I know it's scary, it's doing things differently, but it works. If you're serious about achieving a level of success in your singing that you know you are capable of, but you have yet to achieve, guys, we have helped hundreds of singers do exactly that. So book a call with us. And this call is for you if you have been down that traditional coaching route, but have no clue how to optimize it to break through to that next level in your career, and you really want the help to do that right now. So Anne did it. My singer Kay did it. She had a song that charted number 28 on the Billboard Top 40. I have a singer, Annie, who won Lincoln Center big competition, and then she also did the lead in Into the Woods at Pacific Opera Project. Like, you guys, I'm not making this up. Like, these are singers who were on the bench before they did this work. So in 2 months, you could be singing with a whole new reality and a whole new threshold of what is possible and what you are capable of. So if you want our help to do that, then book a call with us, and I will see you next time on the Pro Singer Success Collective. To book a call, if you're watching on YouTube, just click the link on the screen at the end of this video. And if you're watching on Facebook, just click the link in the chat. All right, guys, have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you next time on the Pro Singer Success Collective. Hey guys, thanks for tuning into today's episode. If you want to subscribe, click the link right over there that says subscribe. And if you want to book a breakthrough session with me, which you absolutely should do, then click the link right over here that says book a
call to schedule an appointment to speak with us. I'll see you on the next episode.